All right, let's get into a story that honestly feels less like some boring corporate history and more like a fable for our times. We're not talking about kings or castles here. We're talking about a video game. A game that kind of came out of nowhere and completely changed the world for millions of people. Yep, this is the story of Free Fire.
And like all really great stories, this one kicks off with a single, powerful question. If games are for everyone, then why only for those with expensive phones? Just think about that for a second. That one thought, born from a feeling that something just wasn't fair, is what sparked a global phenomenon.
So let's set the stage a little bit and meet the guy who just couldn't get this question out of his head. Our story begins in Singapore with a man named Forrest Lee. Now, Forrest was a huge gamer, just loved them. But he saw this problem, this fundamental unfairness in the gaming world that really bothered him. He saw so many kids, so many young people who were passionate about gaming, but were totally locked out of the best new experiences, all because they couldn't afford a high-end, expensive phone. And this right here, this perfectly illustrates the gap that Forrest was seeing. On one side, you had the expensive phones running these incredible graphics-heavy games. And on the other side, you had the simple, everyday phones that, let's be real, most people actually owned. For them, the whole world of top-tier mobile gaming was just a big, frustrating question mark. Forrest knew he had to bridge that gap.
So, with this problem crystal clear in his mind, a dream started to form. But turning a dream about digital equality into an actual working game, well, that was going to take an insane amount of hard work. The goal sounded pretty simple, but from a technical standpoint, it was crazy ambitious. Forrest and his friends decided they would build a game based on 3 core ideas. It had to be small, so it wouldn't hog all your storage. It had to run fast, even on phones with weak processors. And, the most important part, it had to be playable on just about any mobile phone out there.
Now, the journey was anything but easy. I mean, it started great, with that shared dream, a small team all on the same page. But then came the struggle. And it was a real struggle. We're talking day and night, just hitting one technical wall after another. For example, they spent weeks just trying to get the parachute drop at the start of the game to work smoothly, without crashing phones that had under a gigabyte of RAM. Other developers would just say, no, buy a better phone. But not these guys. They refused to give up. And that sheer persistence, that was the breakthrough.
So, out of all that intense work, the final concept came into focus. It was a classic battle royale. You know the drill. Players drop onto an island, and the goal is to be the last one standing. But they needed a name that really captured the spirit of it all, that feeling of freedom, of courage, of survival. And so, they called it Free Fire.
So the game is finally built, and it was time to release it out into the wild. And what happened next? Well, nobody, not even the creators, could have seen it coming. You see, Free Fire didn't launch with some huge marketing blitz or a ton of industry hype. Actually, its release was super quiet. The mainstream gaming world, which was all focused on the next big blockbuster, barely even noticed this little game from Singapore.
But while the critics weren't looking, the audience it was actually built for, they were definitely paying attention. For all those kids with regular, affordable phones, this game was a total revelation. It just worked. It ran smoothly. It didn't crash. For the first time, they could jump into an intense, exciting battle royale game just like everybody else. This was more than just a game. It was access.
The game's growth was completely organic. It didn't spread through ads, it spread through word of mouth. Seriously. It just took over neighborhoods, got passed around in schools, and became the go-to game everywhere from small villages to massive cities. It was all fueled by one friend showing another, hey, you gotta check this out. It actually works on my phone.
And very quickly, Free Fire turned into something way bigger than just a piece of software. It became a social space, a digital hangout spot where friends could connect. The point wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about playing together, forming squads, and just sharing that experience. It was like a whole world right there in their pocket.
And that really brings us to the heart of this entire story, the true definition of what Free Fire actually became. So what's the big takeaway here? At its core, Free Fire became the answer to Forrest Lee's original question. It wasn't just a game, it was a statement. It was a game that was truly, genuinely for everyone, no matter what kind of phone they had.
In the end, I think what Forrest Lee and his team learned was this really profound lesson. If the intention is true, even a small dream can reach the whole world. Their goal was never to build the most graphically stunning game, but to build the most accessible one. And by doing that, they created something that literally reached every corner of the globe. It really makes you wonder, what other huge problems could be solved with a small but really true intention?